So, hey, welcome everybody. Oh, welcome, Dracula. You want this? Okay, go get it. I'm Jayme Lewis. You probably know that because you're already here. Introduce yourself, bro. Who are you?
I am Chris from the Bass Channels.
So here's what we're going to do today. Chris came over a couple of days ago, and he was like, oh, here's your water bag.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's like, hey, let's do another live stream. I've got a Gibson and an Epiphone Thunderbird. I want to do like a playoff or versus or kind of pit them against each other. And neither of those two instruments are anything that I have any real experience with. So I'm not a T-Bird player. Never had one. I've had students that would bring them in. I guess the best thing I can say is I know that they are not the instrument for me and for what I do. I do own a Gibson bass and I use it all the time.
It's awesome.
Yeah, my Gibson grabber. Yeah, this guy right here. Anyways, not the instruments that we're going to be using today. Today we're using, why don't we grab them?
So this is the first one. This is the Epiphone Vintage Pro Thunderbird. I bought this in October or November. And
recently,
like you,
okay.
Yeah, like you, I wasn't much of a T-Bird player. One of the other guys on my channel who happens to also be my cousin, Will. But he has kind of historically always trash-talked Thunderbirds.
Okay.
And so I just kind of took his word for it, because my first instrument were drums. I'm kind of new to the whole string thing, I mean, it's been 10 years, but I still consider myself new to it.
I like that. That's good.
And so I just said, yeah, okay, they must be trash. I bought this just for the review. And we did the review. And
that's dedication.
Yeah. I put it on the wall because it looked cool. And I thought maybe I could use it one day. I finally put my preferred set of strings, which is Elixir stainless steel.
Okay.
Started playing it, and I just started to really appreciate the feel, the tone, especially on this one. These vintage Alnico pickups are phenomenal.
That's good.
Yeah, so they're both passive humbucking pickups, rhythm and lead. This is a mahogany body with the Epiphone is a 7-ply mahogany walnut neck through. So this is all one piece, and then these guys are glued on.
And the Epiphone is made where?
This one, I think it's China. I believe
a neck through instrument.
Yeah,
it looks pretty solid. I'm not I wouldn't have. I assume because it's Epiphone, it's China, Indonesia, or
it's one of those markets. But this is, I think, the newest Epiphone Thunderbird. They've had a couple other. Some of them have been bolt-on. The Pro was a neck through, but it was active.
Yeah.
And this is the first that's kind of true to the 1963 setup with the claw tailpiece and the old school bridge. 2 volume, 1 tone.
Remind me, the first Thunderbird was reversed,
no,
but they got sued by Fender, or was it the other way around?
It was. This is actually the first Thunderbird in '63. They didn't release the reversed one until '65.
Who got sued? Was it Gibson or Fender?
I think it was Gibson because Fender did have the design first.
Which was the Jaguar?
Jazzmaster. One of those offset ones. I forget exactly. I think it was either Jaguar or Jazzmaster.
So this is pre-lawsuit body or post?
This is pre. The first Thunderbird was 1963, and it was this. It said Gibson on the headstock, but for all intents and purposes, this was what you got.
Yeah.
In a 1 or 2 configuration.
Okay. Easy.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the Epiphone. We also have a Gibson counterpart.
You want to hold this?
Sure. Let's turn the volume off. Actually, I'll tune this up for a second.
Good. The other thing to note is the Epiphone's headstock, because it is the vintage inspired, the headstock is huge. The Gibson is a little bit smaller, as you can see.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's hold this side by side.
So the Epiphone's got Wilkinson, Clover, vintage.
Okay,
tuners.
I'm looking on the screen, and it looks like maybe I'm holding this a foot behind. I'm not. that's just the 2 headstocks. Okay,
they're...
so this one's honking. Think that's going to affect the neck dive at all? We'll see.
Yes. So this one, obviously with the headstock, it's smaller. It's got the more modern key, the Y-style key Grovers. The biggest difference, there's 2 actually, is the first is these pickups, even though they are black plastic, they are not active, they are fully passive, but they use a ceramic magnet. They have the more, I don't even know if I want to call it modern, but I guess technically it's more modern than the Epiphone, the horrendous 3-point bridge that I can't wait to replace.
Horrendous? Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
The problem with this bridge is that it's going to be tough to see without a close-up, but where the ball end of the string is and you have those extra wraps, the extra wraps actually sit on the saddle. which I'm not a fan of.
No.
So I'm going to probably get the Babix bridge. But still, it's got 2-volume master tone. Mahogany wings glued onto, this time, a 9-piece mahogany walnut neck.
What?
Yeah, so it is a 9-ply neck. It's all one piece. And there's that little bit of a lip right here. So the wings are a little bit thinner in diameter. I actually recently got the Harley Benton Thunderbird. You know, they can't call it that.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
it's not neck through. It's a set neck. And they did like the faux raised middle, but they did not do it on the back, which is like a dead giveaway that it's not a neck through.
No.
But these are indeed neck through. The neck is one piece from the headstock to the strap pin. And then mahogany wings glued on.
Okay, so looking at both instruments.
Another thing I should say is the Epiphone has a poly finish where this has a nitro. Obviously, this is a much nicer finish job.
Yeah, it's like a darker,
grade.
like walnut looking, or I guess it's mahogany, but it's got like a walnut look.
Yeah.
This is a brighter orange, like tobacco sunburst, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're both called Vintage Sunburst, but that one's got a little bit more of an orange tint to it. Let's see what else. 12-inch radius, 1.5-inch nut width, so it's kind of like a jazz bass neck.
And this one doesn't have that.
They should be about the same, more or less.
Yeah, they actually kind of do look the same.
They're approximately the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think the nut spacing was going to be that thin.
Yeah, it's a rounded profile, but it's Gibson's first in 1963, their first 34-inch scale length. Everything before this was 30.
Do we have sounds like it's quieter than when you were playing. Are we just digging in a lot more?
I was digging in, yeah.
Nice, okay. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to put these back over here. Here's what we plan on doing. I thought it would be cool to do some blind testing. In other words, I'll play both instruments. We'll talk, he kind of gave us all the features and stuff, but we'll just kind of go through the different pickups, the different sounds it can make naturally. I'm looking at the wrong camera again. This is the one. And here's what I want to do. At some point, I'm going to put on a blindfold, and Chris is going to hand me a bass. I'm not going to know which one it is. They're basically identical instruments, right? It's the Gibson version and the Epiphone version. Couple of things, but mostly the same. So we want to see if I can tell a difference from playing one versus the other. In terms of playability, balance, evenness across the neck, output volume, just all those things. Like, let's see if, without my eyesight, can I tell the difference between which one I'm playing, the Gibson version or the Epiphone version, and maybe even which one I like more. And again, completely not based on sight. And then we're going to flip roles. When I do that, I'm also going to record a track, once with the Epiphone and once with the Gibson, just a really quick, 30-second example. And we'll do the opposite. Chris will put on the blindfold, and I'll press play and let him hear it with a track, the Gibson, the Epiphone. I'll just kind of go back and forth between the two, and we'll see if he can point them out just by
in the
listening
track
to
might
him.
be a little tough. I'd probably have an easier time soloed, but
We'll do it both
both
ways. We'll do it both ways. All right, we'll try it. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. And you guys can't see this, but we've also got a couple of pedals plugged in down here. Chris, can you just tell us what that stuff is?
Yeah, I got a B7K Ultra and a Vintage Ultra, both from Darkglass.
Darkglass.
The EQ is all just set flat, straight up. But if we do want to kick in a little drive, I have just a mild, moderate amount of drive. Nothing too crazy, just something to kind of simulate a tube breakup.
Which is another thing that I'll do quite often when I am trying out a bass. Like I have, believe it or not, I have a list of criteria. If I'm trying out a bass, we're on camera one, by the way. When I'm trying out a bass, a compressor, or an EQ, or an overdrive, or an amp, like there's a checklist that I go through. How does it handle this? How does it handle that? And one of them is, overdrive. What does this bass sound like when it gets distorted? Is the top end a little bit too pointy sounding? I mean, does it sound too harsh? Because that could be a thing. If the pickups are picking up more top end than the other one is, it can kind of make it sound like a digital crunchy distortion, but it's not. It's just what the signal is feeding the bass. Same thing with compression and all that stuff. So I'd be very interested to see how each one kind of handles getting the same amount of distortion.
Spoiler alert, we're not going to have an overabundance of top end.
Okay, good. Because we are playing Gibson basses. Address that. Okay, cool. So, Chris, what do you recommend we start with? The Epiphone or the Gibson?
Let's go with the Epiphone since it is the more vintage-inspired one. This is kind of the ballpark of the tone that started the whole T-Bird, if you can call it a revolution. But the T-Bird thing. So let's start
cool.
there.
All right. You want to play it first?
I guess
Is
so.
that the one I tuned? Yeah, I tuned that one already.
Cool. Let me try not to hit you with this gigantic headstock.
Yes, I will stay out of your way.
So, in the Gibson video, the Gibson Thunderbird video, one of the points that I made was that these basses are more versatile than people give them credit for. They're not the most versatile instruments. But, I mean, let's be real, where these feel most at home is just that shoveling eighth notes in rock music. So that's just clean. But if you kick on just a little bit of drive, this is both pickups, everything wide open, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, switch keys.
Very fuzzy.
Yeah.
A burly sounding overdrive.
That's just a kind of a mild setting on the B7K. So that was
do me a favor. Play one more time. I'm just going to look at the meters and make sure. Do me a favor. There should be one over there called bass. Just push that up maybe like 1 or 2 dB just so it's a little hotter than our voices. Cool. Take the overdrive off. Let's just make sure.
Back to clean.
Yeah, the overdrive's adding a little bit of volume, but that's okay.
Just, I mean, every overdrive should.
It's what they do.
So that is both pickups. I'm going to stay clean, go just to the neck, or front, whatever you want to call it.
Nice.
And then we'll switch it over to the back. I'm more of a pick player, so I'm sure you'll slaughter it with fingers in a second.
I don't think Thunderbirds get slaughtered.
This one might.
That's the bridge pickup?
That's the bridge.
Yeah. Nice.
And then back to both. So similar to like when you see in a jazz bass, when you get both pickups, it kind of does duck in volume a little bit, and it does give that little bit of a scoop. But that's a quick rundown.
All right, let me check it out.
Pass it over to someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh, goodness. Hitting cameras and all sorts of things. Yeah, there's like a 10 dB difference between us. I got it on my end.
Okay.
All right, so that's both of them, 100%. Here's the... if I back it off a little bit, like, do I need to take it all the way down in order to solo it out?
I have found that it almost doesn't matter. Maybe I'm just tone deaf, but a little bit down versus all the way down.
That is pretty normal. Like on a jazz bass, if you just duck it a tiny bit, you're pretty much all the way down. Which one am I on right now? This is bridge. Kind of sounds like a darker jazz bass. Just way harder to play. Neck pickup. Now, that sounds to me like the tone knob is already rolled off. So let me see what happens when I actually do roll the tone knob. Actually, can you do it while I play?
Yeah.
I've got my eyes closed and I can't tell a difference.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth.
Yeah.
Not much is happening.
Not much happening with this one. I got a pick right here. Let's see. Both pickups back on.
I mean, I guess that's just what you get with Epiphone, you know? You never know if the electronics are going to work.
Oh, you think it's not even working?
It doesn't sound like it's really doing anything. Like, well, you know, I hear
it's
that
scratching, so...
I've been slipping behind on my knob turning regimen.
Yeah, it could be a busted tone knob. But that, to me, is... that sounds about right. Like when I think Gibson basses like the EBO, EB3, the Thunderbird, anything except for the grabber, I just think of like chuggy, dead, like you know what I mean? Like I can't articulate that sound. It just sounds like.
And these are stainless steel strings, by the way.
It's as bright as it gets. Then
still fairly new. I think they're 2 months old elixir. So. And
the what was that bleep? That was a notification I got on the computer. Okay, good stuff. The neck I'm definitely noticing is pretty hard to play. It seems like my first fret is way further away from me than it's supposed to be.
It's because of where it sits, where the body contour is in relation to the bridge. It's
so like
definitely
the bass
hang more to
should
the left.
kind of be right here.
Yes.
are like right there, and it's so. Somebody asked about how it balances. You definitely, I mean, there's no letting go of it and it staying still. So you do need to put some counter pressure with either this elbow, forearm, or like, you know, holding it, actually pushing up with your left hand. Do I have overdrive on or no?
No. You want some?
Yeah, let's put that back on. That's the neck pickup. That's both of them. You get a little bit more bite. Yeah, so if I was going to play this bass, I would leave everything 100%. That seems to be...
I mean, I am a fan of the neck soloed as well, but yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know if I would use it for a whole song. Well, I mean, but that's neck pickups in general. You know, like you always, it's got to be right for the piece, because otherwise, yeah, it's.
But I will say, through experience, much like your grabber, definitely excels at D and below.
Oh, you mean like drop tuning?
Yeah. Like I did a recording where I had this in drop C, and it just sounded fantastic.
Give me a different distortion. I like that.
Yeah, that's the vintage.
I'm impressed. And again, so that's what I mean. Like when I think Gibson, I think sludgy, thick, kind of sound. And this is not. That's what I'm looking for. This is not disappointing in that at all. Let's head over to the comments. See if anybody's got any questions. Anyone wants to chime in on this thing.
Let's see. Can we hear My Generation by The Who played with pick and fingers? Nirvana and The Who, the great Thunderbird love. All right, let's try it.
My Generation's The Who. Oh, there's a bass solo in that. I taught that to a student when I was 14 years old, and probably the last time I've ever heard it. So that's all you get of My Generation. But it is just two notes. But a very cool bass solo. Distortion off. An A. Let's get a little bit more volume. Yeah, not my choice for slap.
No, but I mean, it does have an interesting tone. It's not like you can't do it.
You know what? If I was going to slap on this, it just wouldn't be acrobatic type stuff. It would just be. I'm actually let me mute my mic. Wrong note. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't choose to slap on this. But you're right. It's kind of like if I had to choose a slap tone, it would always be a J bass, wide open. But slapping on a precision sounds cool too.
I've never been a fan.
I'm not either. But if you listen to like Uptown Funk, like that kind of, I don't know. There was a lot of guys that use a precision to slap also. But yeah, just a different sound. Okay, so let's head over to the Gibson then. So I've played the Epiphone and I press save in my brain. I think I know what it sounds like. We're going to kind of play with the Gibson for a little bit and see what it does. And then I'm going to put on a blindfold. And Chris is going to hand me one or the other, and we're going to see if I can tell based on the playability of the two instruments. Because that is, I mean, when we're comparing, I'm going to use air quotes, high-end instruments and low-end instruments. Or, I mean, do you know what this costs new?
About $22.99.
$22. And that one?
About 600 and something.
See, this is about twice as much as I thought it was. So, yeah, like a big price tag difference. And part of it is the sound, sure. Craftsmanship, sure, but then also like, what does it feel like? What does it play like? And I don't know, how easy, how usable is it? So that's what I'm focusing on.
I'll tell you right now, in construction, the Gibson is, like most instances between Gibson and Epiphone, the construction and feel is worlds above. $2,000 worlds above? I don't know. That's for you to decide, but for me,
it's for me to decide. I'll tell you. Okay, I didn't tune this bass, but we'll just ignore that for now.
It's close enough.
This is clean, no pedals are on or nothing. I like that.
Don't tell anybody it's a Metallica song.
Oh,
okay,
good.
so there. Now that was both. Here's just the neck. I'm just going to play that same riff. Over to the bridge. So yeah, kind of a similar vibe, but a little bit different tone from the ceramic pickups.
All right. So different pickups, different manufacturer. Did I say that word right? Let's see. My level's okay. I'm going to pop it up a little. All right. So we're wide open right now.
And by the way, same exact strings. I mean, obviously not the same set, but still Elixir stainless
same
steel,
type
45
of
to
strings,
105.
Now, here's the thing. I am the type of player who never, I don't want to say never, but like rarely ever grab the treble knob and turn it up. If anything, I only turn it down because I like a dark tone. But this is way too dark for me. Like I need to do the opposite. And like this is a time where I would grab for the treble knob, but literally just to kind of bring it to flat. You know what I mean? Like a flat top end means it's not too bright, but it's not too dark. It really is like perfect. I can hear it, but it's not doing anything to get in the way. Whereas this, like if I was listening to that in the studio, I'd be like, put new strings on that. How old are these strings?
A couple weeks.
But they are stainless steel,
and they're coated, so they'll last a couple years.
Yeah, they don't feel like they're all corroded and stuff. So yeah, they still have. I can feel the brightness.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I just can't hear the brightness.
With Elixir strings, I have a bass that has had Elixir strings on it for 3 years, and they still. I mean, they could go for a change, but they still can pass. You know?
Sure. All right, let me try out the neck pickup. Gain it up a little bit. By the way, you guys aren't hearing any processing as well. This bass is totally dry.
Yeah, it's into the Darkglass, but the distortion's off and the EQ is flat, so really it's just passing the tone.
It is hard to play fast lines on this thing. Let's see if the pick helps at all. Like you said, chugging, that's kind of where you like it.
That's kind of where it's at home, yeah.
Another thing that I'll do when I'm trying out instruments, you notice I'm not trying to play a song. I'm not even trying to play anything that sounds good. I'm exploring the instrument, exploring the space. Right? That's important. Yeah. But like, so for instance, I probably wouldn't play a line like this. It'd be easier. But I want to hear how this E string reacts. Because that's the thing. A lot of basses past fret 7, like the E string's essentially useless.
Mm-hmm.
Not on every bass, but on some of them, you'll just start getting dead notes. They start to go flat. And that depends on your setup also. But so I just want to see, is the playability even when I go from the lower register? So right there, fret 10, I can hear a distinct difference. And we still got some zing down here.
Yeah.
And again, that happens on every bass. It's just to what extent does the tone change? Man, we're clipping, but that's all right.
It gets real boomy up in that high register.
Yeah.
Which sometimes can be cool.
Oh, try the tone knob. Okay, I hear that one. Same thing. I would never touch it.
Yeah,
there's no reason
that's
to bring the
thing.
tone
That's
even
another thing I
less.
touched on in my video is, again, we have everything set flat, and I think a lot of the bad reputation that Thunderbirds get is, they don't have as much top end as a Fender, but really they're not Fenders. And if you just EQ'd your amp to tailor this, if this was your bass, instead of just, that my amp peg is set for my Fender, let's plug the T-Bird in, you're not going to have a good time, So what upper frequency do you like right now?
Nothing above 5K, pretty much
so
ever.
About right around 3? Okay.
3 or 4.
So I'm just going to bump the 3K up a little bit.
Is the distortion on?
No.
So that was an EQ move you just did?
Yeah, that is the high mid set to 3K. I bumped it from noon to 3 o'clock. Now, just for fun, I'm going to add just a little bit of 5K.
I would use that for rock. It's got too much for me, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
I don't play a lot of rock.
5K kind of gets you that.
See what kind of a blues tone we can get. Like a big round boom, 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 boom. This is the neck pickup. More zing than I thought it was going to have.
Yeah. Well, I still have the top end. Want me to go back to flat?
No, that's cool.
Okay, cool. Because I like top end.
Okay, so forget playing that note. Okay, you guys can't tell this, but like as I look down, all I see is my microphone. I can't see my hand. So I thought I was going to be able to play this D right here, and you can see my pinky. Oh, Jesus. My pinky is like 3 frets away from the note that I wanted. Is that lens okay? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so I've just got to like lobster grip.
Yeah, it's real weird to get up there.
Yeah, so forget playing in the top register. This one does have a bit more. Well, I'm sorry, because we've got the EQ on. I was going to say it's a little brighter than the Epiphone.
Which, I mean, inherently it is, because ceramic magnets are going to give you more top end and a little bit more brightness than Alpico.
Where's that note? That's the one. Okay.
Let me go back to flat.
All right.
All right, there we are.
Sweet. All right, I think I've got enough to try and experiment to see if I can tell which one's which.
Cool. Now this is going to be interesting because they're dimension-wise. I mean, other than for the headstock, dimensions are pretty much the same. So it's going to be interesting to see how many notes you miss without being able to see it, because it doesn't sit.
All of the notes.
It doesn't sit where it normally would on a
all
Fender.
the notes always. Okay, I cannot see anything. Chris, let me get
plugging it in for the camera.
Let's move this. I'm gonna get rid of the hat. That'll make the blindfold easier. Okay,
cool.
Now, Chris, wave your hand in front of my face. Pretend you're gonna punch me. I'm not gonna flinch. Hey, 1 2 1 2. Okay, I cannot see anything. So
all right, bass is coming
here's my
at
mic.
you.
All right.
There it
Okay,
is.
I don't know which one this is. I have no clue.
And we are no distortion, EQ, all set flat like we were in the beginning.
This is an A. There's the first one. Okay. What am I going to play? I'm going to play the same thing each time. And it's going to be a line that moves around. Let's do this one. Okay, I got it. That's not in tune. Where's my... Are these reverse tuners?
No.
Jesus. Look at what my elbow's doing. Okay. All right, and everything's up. Okay. All right. Let me play the other one.
Okay.
And then I'll make my decision on which one's which.
I'll just hand you the other one and you can plug it in.
Okay.
Let me put this one down.
Don't break me.
Okay, number 2 coming in.
Okie dokie. All right. This is number 2. And the thingy dingy. All right. Okay. Jesus. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Where's my microphone? I'm not going to lie. I thought I was going to be able to tell the difference based on the way the neck feels, but I really can't. This one's got more snap and more top end to it, so it leads me to think that this one's a Gibson and that one's the Epiphone, because you said that those are brighter pickups, but I think that's just my tech brain trying to convince me of something that my ear is hearing. So this one's less consistent, and so I'm going to go with the Epiphone, and I'm going to say the other one was Gibson. Am I correct?
You want me to give you the answer? Or you want to just take the blindfold off?
And it is... Yeah! That's what I said, right?
Yeah,
Did I get it right?
Well, your first guess was wrong, and then you doubled back.
Hold on. Okay,
I'm
yeah.
curious if you felt a difference on the pickups because
feeling actually putting my thumb. It's really bright in here now. Holy
yeah.
moly.
Well, see if you notice the screws on the pickup cover
I
stick
look
out
like
quite
I'm
a
in,
bit.
what is it, MS-13 or whatever? I should. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna put this around my head like a bandana. Why not? Let's change my look around. I'm throwing away the red hat and I'm moving to prison bandanas. This is a cool look for me, right? Especially the ball. I look like I'm in an 80s workout video. An 80s Jane Fonda. Yeah, so this one, this just sounded less full to me and brighter. That one sounded darker but more even throughout.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of one of the characteristics between the two as far as their choice of wood and the way they construct it.
You're one of those tone wood guys?
Absolutely.
When you're trying to sell your basses.
Have you ever played a bass made out of metal?
No. I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
I buy into tone wood too, but I know a lot of luthiers and a lot of people that are like,
oh,
that's a hot topic. If you start talking about that, people are gonna start calling shit on you and whatnot.
They can call it all they want
Yeah.
because dude, I was skeptical until I played a James Trussart bass.
A what?
James Trussart, the dude who makes the metal guitars out of like steel.
Oh.
He loaned us a couple basses, and one of them was like a PJ bass with a maple neck, but the body was hollow steel. And it was arcane passive PJ pickups, nothing fancy, nothing special in the pickups. And
you could hear a
sounded
difference?
metal. Not this,
Sounded
but
metal.
but metallic.
Nice.
And once I played that bass, it was clear to me that tone wood is real. It's a thing, and I mean, like you said, that one's all maple, right? And
yeah.
It's super loud.
No. Yeah, I mean, believe me, yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to convince
Actually,
you.
no. You know what? This would be a really good. Maybe next time, like I was gonna say, I can tell the difference between maple and rosewood, but I don't know if that's because I look at it and I hear a brighter sound. Like I've never scientifically compared the two and done what we just did, like blindfolded. Maple, blindfold, rosewood, ebony.
We did. I have a video.
Oh, you've done that before?
Yeah, we did 2 precision basses, identical, same paint job, same year, Fender American. The only difference was the fretboard.
Okay, and were people able to tell the difference?
There are a lot of it doesn't matter in a mix, which is kind of true.
Of course.
But I heard a difference. And that's another
true.
thing, too, is, I mean, using different styles and builds of wood and different there's styles of wood and different builds. More so than just the tone of the listener is the way you feel it in your thumb, which can help you play better. I like having, I mean, this one, even though it's the overseas Epiphone, it's neck through, so that's not really an issue, but on some of the import basses, that could be an issue.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of resonance up through the headstock and everything.
Totally.
But, I mean, I can hear a difference just when it's unplugged and you play the Epiphone and the Gibson. In my opinion, in every way, acoustically. In every way but one, the Gibson outshines the Epiphone.
Nice.
And that one is in the Gibson's bridge. I'm not a fan of the bridge. So I'm going to replace that. I do like this style bridge, like more of the, kind of like how they do on the guitars, a separate bridge and a tailpiece.
Yeah.
I like that design.
Oh, because the Gibson one has a different...
It's the 3-piece. Yeah. Oh, no, yours doesn't have a 3-piece anymore. But
it didn't have that either. Oh,
as you can see. I am not a fan of that bridge design at all.
No, me neither.
So that's the only way in which I think the Epiphone wins out. Every other way, this is definitely superior.
So I'm interested to watch this back myself, because again, what I said was, like, I was noticing, okay, a little bit of a brighter sound on this one, but a little weaker in some spots in the neck, whereas the Gibson sounded fuller. However, little more dead, not as bright sounding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know which one I like more. So I would like to watch those back and A/B them again. This time getting to focus on hearing it instead of playing it and see which one I think actually sounds better. Which actually brings me to what we're going to do next. So let's tune this guy up. I'm going to play along to a track. Let me tune the space up really quick. I'm going to play along to a track twice, okay? Once on this bass, once on the other bass, and I got to compose something really quick because look at how far I have to... You guys can't see this. I am like... This
almost
is
fully outstretched.
I can barely reach the tip of the neck. That's how long this instrument is. Yeah, this is a less reactive instrument than that one, for sure. But I think I like the sound of this one better.
Yeah. I wouldn't be above going to like thunderbuckerranch.com or Seymour Duncan's website or anybody who makes replica 1963s and putting them in the Gibson. I'd be interested in trying that. Kind of best of both worlds,
All right. Okay. So I learned the song. I wrote a little part. I'm going to record it really quick, and then I'm going to do as best I can to play it again on the other bass. And then Chris and I will change places, and he'll put on the blindfold. Actually, I guess you don't need to. You just don't look at the screen. And I'll go back and forth between the two and see if he can tell which one is which.
I think I'm gonna pass with flying colors.
I think you are too. Okay. Okay, now this is going to be pretty easy because it is substantially darker. So can you do me a favor and brighten it up with EQ just to kind of get, so we're starting from the same place with both of these instruments. Let's try it.
Cool.
Okay, we have 2 takes.
Might be a little trickier now with the EQ bump.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, definitely these 2 were. Let's turn the volumes on. Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Can you put that back for me? You know, the Gibson substantially darker than the Epiphone for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did some EQ moves on the Darkglass pedals, and
yeah, I just bumped 1.5K and just a little bit of 5.
And I'll say this also, it could be the setup, but for sure, the Gibson plays better than the Epiphone.
Definitely.
For sure, it's a smoother ride, more sustain, and much more even throughout the neck. So when you're looking at those price points of 600 something and 2200, yeah, there is for sure a difference in the quality.
And the Gibson smells better.
And it smells better. Hey, all right, let's switch spots.
Okay.
Both the basses are out. There's one. Here's the other.
Oh, that's tougher than I anticipated.
There's back to the first one. Switching.
My guess is that's the Epiphone.
Switching again. Switching. Switching.
It's really tough in the mix.
You know what?
And especially since we EQ'd the Gibson, it's very tough.
I wasn't going to lie. As soon as I started playing it, I knew which one it was because I was switching to fader, and I was like, actually, these are way closer than I was anticipating. Let's do this. Let me pull the track out. Here's just the basses, okay? Here's choice number 1. And then I'll you did guess on which one it is. I'll tell you if you were correct or not.
Okay.
After we do this again, but this time no track. Bass only, okay?
This should be easier.
Switching now.
Epiphone, then Gibson.
So you thought the first one was the Epiphone and the second one was the Gibson?
That's my best guess.
Okay, here's the results. We have 3 to go on. Well, actually just 2. The audience participated on the second one. I'm not gonna lie, you guys didn't do good. So don't worry about it. So when the track was playing, you were correct.
Interesting.
You went, this is the Epiphone, and you were right.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the Gibson, which means, you know, by process of elimination, you knew which one was which. However, when I soloed them up, you got it wrong.
Interesting.
The Gibson, here's number 1. Here's number 2. Epiphone. Gibson. that darker Gibson.
Yeah. See,
Number
this would have
2.
been a lot easier if we wouldn't touch the EQ.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that I'm happy with my ability to tweak the EQ.
yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised. As soon as it was in the track, I was like, I couldn't tell these apart. And the fact that you could either means it was a coin toss or you got some good ears. But that does go to show you that kind of like what we were saying before with like tone woods and whatever. Like once you put it in the mix, it doesn't matter. And you just heard like it was pretty. I mean, they were like 90 something percent the same in the context of the mix. And then when we pulled them out, it was like, okay, that one's darker and kind of woolier, and then the other one's brighter and thinner. So I'm going to say this. If I have to make any like declarations or whatever, I would say that for sure the Gibson plays better. And the Epiphone, at least these are both stock, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
other
so,
than strings,
so
all stock.
Epiphone is brighter. Gibson is darker. Gibson plays smoother. Epiphone, not as much, but that doesn't mean you couldn't do it with the setup. The action was higher on the Epiphone than it was on the Gibson, so I bet with a decent setup, you could get them to feel pretty much the same. Balance, I didn't notice a difference. Sound, you could get the $600 bass to almost sound like the one 3.5 times its price.
Yeah. Almost 4.
Almost 4. Yeah. So definitely, like if I had to have this sound, I would buy the Epiphone, hands down, because I can deal with the playability issues. Because I mean, that's just something that you just practice a little bit. Every instrument's a little different, and you can just boost up your skills and your technique to get to the point to where this instrument's not so hard to play anymore. Or not as different. So I would definitely buy the Epiphone because it would save at least $1,500 before tax, and also the fact that I could get them to sound like 95% the same. And I mean, that was just a quick EQ move on a pedal. I haven't dived in with plugins. I haven't done anything surgical yet. So for sure, I would buy the Epiphone and soup it up, and just deal with the playability consequences. Because again, for me, it's all about sound, and I'm a working guy, so I don't care so much about the artistry, if that makes sense. Like I'm more or less like, I mean, I've got a paycheck to make, and I just need to make you happy. And if I play it and I go, oh, that wasn't as good, and the artist goes, that was great, I'm like, well, that was great, cool. Next song, why not? So I'm much more utilitarian when it comes to this kind of stuff. So the Epiphone would totally do it for me. What about you? What do you think?
I come from the other side. Because again, I own both of these. These are sitting in my studio with me at all times. And when I reach for one, it's always the Gibson.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it feels better. And I'm under the belief that if you're going to be working with, first of all, if you're going to be working with it, you're going to want something that's going to stand up. That's not going to, you're not going to worry about, like for instance, the tone knob on the Epiphone doesn't work. I don't know why. It worked last time I played it.
At least we think it didn't work. We couldn't tell.
I didn't hear anything. And usually, I mean, even on cheaper instruments, you can hear something. But, I want something that's going to last, that has quality. I want something that feels good, that's going to make me want to play it, which in turn is going to make me get better. And if I'm better and I enjoy the instrument that I'm playing, I'm going to want to play it more.
Yeah.
And then I heard this is a little bit more, psychological and almost philosophical.
Philosophical.
That if you have... Because, a lot of people argue that it's just the name, right? Well, we've proven it's not just the name, but the name still is there. And so if you're playing Gibson versus Epiphone.
High-end, Epiphone,
if you fall under the camp who is proud of the name on your headstock, then psychologically you're going to play better too, because you're more proud to play the instrument. I don't know how much I subscribe to that one, maybe a little bit. I'm not a psychologist, but
well, again, like
I've
we were
heard
saying
that
before,
theory.
like as an artist, I mean, you're expressing yourself. You're doing a thing, and people are watching you. It's weird. It's weird to perform music, to act, to do anything where you're like, you're just laying it all. You're just like pulling my pants down, like I'm naked. You can just see everything, and you're like, I don't like.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. And so, anything you can do to make that less awkward, sure. Pay an extra $1,000. Yeah, it'll come back to you. It'll pay itself off, just in you feeling good with what you're doing, and also the quality of your work, because inside you got the confidence there.
And here's the other thing that people don't talk about when it comes to instruments. It's always easy to talk about, I'm just going to go to the cheaper one to save money. But what if let's just say 10 years down the road, you have to get rid of it for some reason, And any other big purchase in your life, what are you looking to? Resale value.
Yes.
Gibson's
Yep.
retain theirs unless you beat the hell out of it. If you just play it moderately and there's only a little bit of wear, it's going to sell for just about as much as you paid for it. Maybe 18, but still 10 years down the road, it's not going to be, I can't even give these away.
Sure. Yeah.
The Epiphone might be.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you all. Love you. And see you probably tomorrow.